Hey, what's up? I'm here to record yet another video. And this time I'm thinking about, well, I don't really know what I wanted to talk about. I had a lot of stuff that I wanted to cover. It's been a few days and I just haven't been posting, to be honest. A lot has happened in all this missed time. Right now, you're watching League of Legends gameplay. This is Arena. One of my friends was talking about wanting to give it a try because he usually just loves Arena and it's pretty entertaining to him. I guess I'll talk about that first. You know, if you really have been on my channel, you've probably seen that I've been watching, well, not that I've been watching, but I play a lot of games, right? Like a ton of games. And it's not just that, but I mean I've done stuff like Smite. Smite was one of my first really big ones, right? I played Smite for years, and I didn't really start making videos on it until I want to say like 2 or 3 years after I started playing. And I only really started playing Smite because one of my friends wanted to play it and they got into it, and therefore I got into it. But originally, Smite was not one of those games that I enjoyed, right? One of the first MOBAs that I wanted to play, really wanted to get into, was League. And my laptop at the time just was so bad that it would not run League, and therefore I couldn't play it. And the weirdest thing was, my friend's laptop would run it, and my laptop was better than his. So I don't know why I couldn't play League, but whenever I try to launch it up and run it, my laptop would always give me some certain error. And I was a young kid at the time, so I didn't really know how to fix it, or when I went to go look it up, how to understand the fixes for it. So League was just out of my realm, and that friend didn't like League. He actually got to try it and didn't like it. So some time passes and Smite's out, and he liked Smite, and Smite to me was like League, and my laptop could run it. So we would just play Smite together, and we played it for a long time. But I used to put up videos of that on my YouTube channel, and I probably don't have a ton of my Smite gameplay on my YouTube channel. I remember having issues recording it all and trying to make sure that things ran smooth and looked good. And I'm sure now, if I really wanted to, my whole YouTube could just be swarmed with Smite content. But I know Smite 2 is supposed to be coming out, and I haven't played Smite in a super long time. I was a Bologna main, and I was a cold Bologna main, alright? I didn't really play ranked, though, because, ranked, alright? Base Smite, casual Smite, was toxic, right? So you already know ranked was no better. But, yeah. So this friend that I'm talking about right now actually loves to play arenas. I used to play Summoner's Rift with him for a while. I've rarely ever touched ranked on League, and I would always hop around mains. And eventually Wild Rift, came out. I was like, I'm not going to play this. And in time I actually did, and turned out to actually enjoy it. So, yeah. I guess that's one thing to cover, So I have 2 recordings of my friend and I playing Wild Rift, playing arenas, or arena on League. So I'll probably try to use it as background footage for the next video or so. But yeah, that's basically what you're watching now. There's some things that I want to talk about. So school, done, right? We all graduated. Why? By we, I mean people in my university, not people that are that were just in school around the same time as me, because that's not what's happening, right? We graduated, and that's cool. I'm glad that it's all over. I got to walk the stage. I tried to do a goofy TikTok emote or whatever, and it just was not really working out, and that's fine. But I was pretty upset about graduation, man. I gave all the people that talked about wanting to come or try to force their way to show, I gave them all a set amount of time to show and told them when to be there. And technically they were somewhat within that time frame, but they did show up a few minutes later, and by a few I mean like 20 minutes later. And the university always seems to fall short. They ended up closing the doors, right? They closed the doors and said that people cannot come in. The police officers and security guards did that and basically prevented it so that people could not come in, even though the time for the doors to be closed hadn't hit yet. I mean, we were like 20, 30 minutes away. So all the people who talked about wanting to come and who actually did show couldn't even come in because the doors were being closed. And there were a ton of people outside of like the people that I know that actually wanted to come in, and they were like swarming against the doors, banging and beating on them, yelling and screaming, trying to get in. And some people were let in because some security guards would just open a door anyway. Some people were let in because some people would just open the doors, like without the security guards knowing. But other people, like the vast majority, were put into a completely different building. And while they were in that building, they had to, I forget, they had to basically watch the entire like ceremony from a completely different building, watching it on like a projector, and they were talking about how the projector would lag or buffer, or you pretty much just couldn't see anything in the projector at all. Excuse me. And I was like, you can't be serious, right? Like this is what we're doing. This is what we're dealing with. This is what's going on. And I thought that that was just so tragic and so garbage, right? Because I hated the idea that they actually showed in somewhat of a reasonable amount of time, and they couldn't even stay to like do anything, right? But it happens, and basically they call out your name and you walk the stage, but we had to like stand and sit and stand and sit and stand and sit for a bunch of different things that were going on, and people were talking about a lot of stuff, and a lot of the people around me were cracking jokes about how they didn't want to be there, or how some of like the alumni who came to talk for us were more so talking about themselves and about their own life stories rather than giving us anything useful and whatnot. So a lot of people felt like it was just a huge time waste. But yeah, all that was going down, and when I finally got to walk the stage, uh, pretty much nobody clapped for me. It was a small portion of people who cheered for me, and they were people who didn't know me, who hadn't heard of me, or anything of that matter. There's like this small family in the back of the what Coliseum who would clap and cheer for everybody, and they weren't like woo, like majority of the families were. They were just like like standard clap clap whatever, right? And I was just like, oh man, right? Like that's great. That's golden. I'm glad that there's somebody out there who cares enough to help. But at the same time, it's like, you hate it. It sucks, and it's just something that you have to deal with. And because the people who came for me were sent to another building, I couldn't, hear their applause. I couldn't hear them cheer for me. I couldn't see them anywhere around the building. And they were all kind of like, well, they claim that they were cheering and whatnot, but obviously I'm not going to hear it. You're in a completely different building. And it more so just feels like they didn't make it. That's really what it feels like when you're at the graduation and you're basically there by yourself, and you're looking for like the people who've been pushing that they're going to show and making you dress up this certain way under your cap and gown and telling you that they want to go out and do this and that on a day that's supposed to be for you, just for them to not be there. I mean, it's a huge bummer, and I hated it. But it's over, right? Graduation took like 4 hours, maybe 5. And after it finished, I mean, I just kept running into more and more problems because, like I said, I already wasn't in a good mood because of all that. And then some stuff was going down a little later that just further on pushed me into an even like more upset like place. And I just did not want to deal with it, man. Excuse me. And yeah. So that was fun. But on the bright side, I was done, and I was like, well, hopefully I can get my diploma. But I had this issue with the other class that I was referencing to way back when, right? You remember the other teacher was talking about how um you need to you like, oh my gosh, you remember I was talking about the project and everything from like a few videos ago. To sum it up, if you weren't there or if I didn't talk about it for whatever the case may be, to sum it up, essentially what happened was uh, my class, at least half of us, basically studied for this huge project that we were supposed to have, and we were getting ready to take it and deal with it and like face it and whatnot. And my professor comes into the classroom, and instead of giving us a test like for the final exam, we play a game. We played two games, which sucked, man. That was not fun. Like, well, I mean, I guess in a sense of it being fun, it was fun, but from a professional, what's it, collegiate standpoint, it was not fun. Like, none the slightest, not at all. And I'm sitting here waiting, like, to actually take the test, and it's not happening. And all this extra BS was going down to where I was just being treated as if, like, my opinion didn't matter, and the professor just didn't want to hear me. And then he was acting super confused as to what was actually happening, and he was acting as if he didn't know what was going on, even though like he was keeping an eye on me pretty much the entire time we were in class. So it's like he sucks. Yeah, I definitely didn't like that class. But to add to all that, I've been on the edge of my seat trying to see what my average is going to be for that class. So I've been waiting for him to put the final exam in, because if he fails me, even if I walked to get like the frame for my diploma and everything, if he fails me, I won't get my diploma. I will have to go back another semester to take one class and then pass that class and then get my diploma, which is super stupid. They shouldn't even let you walk if that's the case. But that class was an elective, which, if you don't know what an elective is, it's pretty much a class that doesn't matter. All right. You take them to fill up empty space. It doesn't necessarily like touch directly on what it is you're going to class for or going to school for. So I was just waiting for those updates to come. All right, the end date for the professor to put the grades in, as far as we all know, is like Sunday. Today's Wednesday. I said is Sunday. It's more so like was Sunday, because that was the last Sunday, and he has not upgraded. He has not updated the grades at all, right? So my average is still the same. He hasn't put in the final exam or anything along that sort. He had actually reached back out to me that day because I talked about going to speak to him, and he had actually reached back out to me and he was talking to me. Well, he was trying to talk to me, and I was trying to talk to him, but he just stopped talking to me. Like, he stopped messaging me, he stopped reaching out to me, and he just disappeared. So it's like, okay, something's wrong. I'm reaching out to the professor to talk to him, and he's not communicating with me, which is funny because it's supposed to be a communication class, right? So he's not communicating with me. It pretty much seems like he's actively deciding to avoid me. I was just like, whatever. I'm going to talk to like a higher office, talk to the dean, and get this handled, right? Because like what you're doing for these exams and stuff shouldn't be allowed. And here I am, like taking the wrong end of the stick when my average wasn't even bad enough to like fail the class, right? And this is all because you wanted to do something stupid and special rather than just giving us an actual test, right? So, yeah, that was mad annoying, and I hated it. And hopefully, I get it sorted out, and I'll know for sure. But I won't really be able to tell until something comes, and I won't know when that something is gonna come until much later on. So I'm waiting to see if a diploma shows. If it doesn't, I mean, either I'm going up to that office to raise hell, or I'll just have to redo a semester. And I've decided that after that, regardless of what happens, I'm still going back to finish my other major. So I'll be in school for like 1.5, maybe 2 more semesters, and then I'll be done unless I decide to go to graduates. And I might go to graduates. I don't know yet though. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Just want to complain about school, explain a little about my MOBA experience, Eat my balls.